should I say, I think have concessions in the Essequibo Coast. They need to be in Guyana drilling for oil concurrently, even with that. I want to take a phone call as we talk about this track, and we'll continue our discussion. Mr. Peter Ramsaroop, you're on the air.
Hi.
Hello. Do you have a question? Yes, this is Peter Ramsaroop. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Well, I'm good, and I want you to hear your views. The madam talked earlier about the 5% on this and that, right? Did we Guyanese reject the 5%?
No. On the previous topic, not seen any major rejection of that 5% increase, which is a sad case.
We're happy about it.
Pardon me?
Are we happy about it?
No, we should not be happy about it. Inflation alone is estimated, even with the government loan numbers, at 4.5% for 2010. So even if that's incorrect and we had 6% inflation by the end of 2010, you would actually have zero pay raise, even though you got 5%. But I want to continue this topic on, thank you for your call. We'll go further in that on our next program. Going back to, in the early segment, even on illiteracy, 17% pass rate for GDF soldiers, GDF recruits coming in, that can, as a 12-year-old test, only 17% passed that test. What did that tell us in terms of even if a soldier coming into the Army can't even read and write? We talked about the education system. We're talking now about a changed Guyana, an oil country. We potentially have uranium. We potentially have bigger oil assets. We better have bold leadership post 2011 to deal with the global issues that Guyana will have to deal with. And what you're saying, our doctrine, our national defense doctrine, is not keeping up with Guyana today.
Yes, we're speaking about right now we have CGX and Gold Star exploring for oil, petroleum. If we are successful, and we probably will, eventually we will, there is petroleum there. What Guyana's emerging petroleum industry, we need security against sabotage, against, just like Peter was saying, against terrorism. You become vulnerable to terrorists. So we need to, the second aspect of the current security doctrine that we have in Guyana is we see all the gun violence in the country. Are we asking ourselves, how is all of these illegal guns getting into our country? And it has to do with smuggling and all of the illegal activity.
Well, how do we protect our borders? The fact is, there's two helicopters we bought for billions of dollars, I think a year or two ago. These are city helicopters. But anybody watching, I wish I had the pictures. We had it, but couldn't get it on the program today. A type of helicopters we need to be patrolling our border, and all of us watch war movies, and we have both served in different militaries. Those helicopters can't fly in the jungle. They can't protect that smuggling that we talk about. So we're even buying the worst equipment that we can buy. Let me take this phone call as we think through that answer. This is Peter Ramsaroop. You're on the air. Yes, you're on the air.
Commodity
TV. So with that, the discussion then, are we putting, even using the 5.6% GDP money to buy the correct equipment? We talk about our doctrine being a poor doctrine. We're not investing in the right equipment for our soldiers to be able to defend our borders, much less you're talking about smuggling and all these other things that we need to add to some of our protection of our borders.
Yes, in order to counter our porous borders, what's currently going on, anything is going in and out. We need, the solution to that is we need increased border patrols, we need more gunboats to police the waterways, and we need more personnel, and we need more surveillance and intelligence of what's going on at those porous points at our borders.
Yes. Ramsaroop, you're on the air.
Hi, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir.
I admire your speech, sir. At least Guyanese is ready to say they need more education.
Good.
And they're lacking, and that's the reason why they got to talk like a stupid people up to now, right?
Well, we're putting some of them to make policy as we talk about both defense and education. So the fact is, as all of us citizens, it's not about putting as blame as much. Thank you. Putting as blame as much on the policymakers, but we have unqualified sitting in positions such as defense. I don't think any one of the policymakers, Vaughn, that sits in the defense board or defense strategy or education have qualifications to pronounce policy. And that's an issue that I think that you've got to put qualified people. When you're running a country like any business, you won't hire a mason to do your accounting. So why would you a mason to do defense? Yes. It doesn't make sense. Peter Ramsaroop, you're on the air. Hello?
I'm with you again. You mentioned about schooling earlier, right? You mentioned about the school earlier. Okay, my point is that teachers were being called out on the last August. Were they being paid?
No, and we did mention that as you look at the entire system that we have to deal with, even the police force, we'll get to that on another day as we come closer to the end of our program. The 5% pay raise goes to the GDF, it goes to the police forces, goes to teachers. That can't manage those people to stay out of trying to earn money other places. And that's where we need to focus on. Vaughn, you were in the military, serving in the infantry. I mean, how did you survive at that level of pay that you were getting?
Well, in Guyana, you learn to make do with what you have. But as being a member of the GPP, the Guyanese People's Partnership, we've said from the beginning, we've been a proponent of increasing salaries for public servants, for the police, for the soldiers. They have a very dangerous work to do.
Yeah. And people ask where that money is going to come from. If you look at the current budget that the government had, 60% more they've collected since 2007 on VAT. That bank account is so high that they're dishing it out at 5% increase. I mean, DDL gave their workers 16% increase. So a private company that did well gave their workers 5%, 16%. A country that took 60% of our extra money from our pockets, give our public servants that has to protect you and me, has to teach our children, has to be on the streets every day worrying whether somebody's going to shoot them as a criminal, 5% pay raise. We'll take our last phone call as we end. Peter Ramsaroop, you're on the air. Hello? Yes, you're on the air.
I want to join the party, sir. How can I get in contact?
Give us a call, 226-6296. So we'd love to have all people. It's not about joining the party, but it's working together to make a difference for our country. Thank you for your input. As we close the program, there are a few things that all of us sitting in our living room around the world, Guyanese everywhere. This is not just Guyanese in Guyana, Guyanese in Toronto or in New York. It's Guyanese all over the world, both local and international. We must pay attention to our country. Jane talked earlier about the national conversation on illiteracy, the fact that many of our young people cannot read and write. That cannot be a future of a nation that we want to look forward to. Vaughn opened the discussion today, which will continue in many other levels over the next couple months on the national defense strategy. We need bold leadership. We need people with experience. We've got to get our claim off. Venezuela have to get our land. 5-8%. Our parliamentarians, our government, our president should have not been kissing up to President Chavez when he came to Guyana, giving him the royal treatment. The fact is the man in this country takes 5-8% of our land, and we have not been able to develop the Essequibo in the last 30 years. We've got to get back to bold leadership. We have to take a stand in our country. We're wearing our Guyana flag. We're proud of our nation. We have to put patriotism and pride back into our country, and that's what's going to make a difference. Us working together for a better today and a better tomorrow for our children. For being part of the discussion today. We couldn't take a lot of more of the phone calls as we close the program. If you have a young child, and end my program every time with this, or you see a young child on the street, look at them. If you can give them a hug or give them a kiss, that's our future. But they are our today. If we're not investing in them today, getting them to learn to read and write, teaching them maths and science, preparing our national defense strategy for the change in Guyana. National assets are growing. We potentially will have oil. We have uranium. We need to open our tax incentives for businesses to come into our country. We have the highest tax pay in the region. That's why we don't see a lot of investors coming into Guyana. We have a lot of buildings going up, but you as an ordinary citizen is not going from $28,000 to $100,000 salary. Why? Because the system is set to keep you poor, and the government then hands out fixing a pothole or cleaning a drain right before, and you think then the country has changed. Let's stop this nonsense. Let's pay attention to our future. Let's be part of our future. That means being part of it today. I'm Peter Ramsaroop. Join us again Friday at 2 o'clock for another live program where we're going to be having the new generation talk about how they're going to take control of our country. God bless you, and see you on Friday.
A government which wastes the people's money. That is essentially necessary for having a lean government.
Has this been achieved in the last 18 years? Get to know Guyana's People Partnership. Plan for a better today. Together we will.